Thank you for joining me for another coaster review. This time we have Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. This is one of the coolest roller coasters out there. It has such a unique layout. It is a fan favorite among coaster enthusiasts, and I'm going to be giving my full thoughts on it in today's video. But as usual, let's start with the stats. So first off, you can find this coaster in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Phantom's Revenge is manufactured by D.H. Morgan Manufacturing, although it used to be completely an aerodynamics roller coaster. Back when it was Steel Phantom, it had several inversions, and what Kennywood did was they ripped out most of the track and replaced it so that it had a superior layout, which means now it is a Morgan hypercoaster. And I never got to ride Steel Phantom, but from what I've heard from people who did, Phantom's Revenge was a much needed improvement. So I did say that this is a hypercoaster, but hypercoasters are generally coasters over 200 feet. Phantom's Revenge is only at a height of 160 feet. The reason it's considered a hypercoaster is because it has a drop of 228 feet. That is because of the terrain that this coaster uses. If you haven't been to Kennywood, this park very much uses the terrain to its advantage. Pennsylvania is very hilly, and this coaster uses the valleys and hills to its advantage. Its second drop is actually bigger than the first. That is one of the legendary things about Phantom's Revenge. It is a super cool element, so most people prefer the second drop over the first one. Its maximum speed is 85 miles per hour. In other words, it's really fast. It has a track length of 3,200 feet. And it has a duration of 1 minute and 57 seconds. Now that being said, this coaster does have a really slow lift hill, so a good portion of that time is spent going up. And because of the sheer size of this ride, I don't know how many other elements they could have incorporated into the ride, so I think the duration is good, especially because this coaster is intense as heck, so if the coaster were any longer, it might be too much for some people. So first things first, when you get to this roller coaster, you're going to enter in these cars and you're going to notice how the lap bars are set up. They are made so that there is some room between you and the bar. Yes, it is perfectly safe, and it has its plus sides because this will give you a large amount of airtime. It makes you feel very open, especially if you're a smaller guy or pretty skinny. And this is a really great feeling because for some people, it's going to make them want to hold on for dear life because they're afraid that they'll fall out of their seat. Then you have someone like me, my hands are completely in the air, even though I feel completely exposed. And that especially goes for the last portion of the ride, but let's go through the ride experience. So as I mentioned earlier, you go up this really slow lift hill, gives you a great view of the park, and then you go into this curving drop. And this drop is awesome if you are in the back seat because you just get whipped over and it is fantastic. I think if you ride this coaster, you should ride in the front or back or do what I did and ride both. They are completely different experiences, and both of them give amazing rides. So after that drop, you go into this flat section, and then shoot up into the first hill, where you then go into the biggest drop on the coaster. A drop over 200 feet in height, and you plunge under Thunderbolt. This is an awesome effect. It's a great head chopper moment. So after that, you're going to go into this humongous wide bank turn. This is a great bank turn, really gives you some great laterals, and you dive back down, where you go into this tunnel, again using the terrain to its advantage, and then shoot up into this turn, and then that's when the airtime kicks in. Basically, the last half of the ride is all airtime hills. And let me just tell you, these airtime moments are absolutely nuts. They are small, so it's all ejector airtime, and because of the restraint system, you go flying. It is crazy. This is some of the best airtime on any roller coaster. I honestly don't know what other roller coaster I'd compare its airtime to. It's just something that you have to experience for yourself. I mean, this coaster may not look like much. Like, if you haven't ridden it, you may be looking at these tiny airtime hills and you may be saying, oh, that looks like a stupid finale. But that is the best moment of the ride. That last section where you have this airtime hill after airtime hill after airtime hill, it is just unbelievable. I am a huge fan of this roller coaster. I think its layout is absolutely perfect. It is so unique. And it is one of my all-time favorite roller coasters. It is worth going to Kennywood just for this ride. So what am I giving Phantom's Revenge in terms of a final score? Obviously a 10, and it's very well deserving of it. The only downside really is that it has that really slow incline, but again, some people like that, so that's not even really a downside. Now be warned though, Kennywood will sometimes run one train on this coaster, so that does kind of suck. but everything else about this coaster is amazing. So I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Phantom's Revenge? Are you as big of a fan of it as I am? Post all of your thoughts below. And of course, you can check out more coaster reviews in a playlist I have available on my channel. They're all in alphabetical order based off of the ones that I've written. So make sure to check that out, and I'll catch you guys next time here at Coaster Studios.